What's up, fight fans? This is JD at Bvtnews with a quick news update. Y'all know I got to give y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing. And with that being said, man, let's talk about Mr. Teofimo Lopez, new 140-pound champ, who just decisively, undeniably, beat Josh Taylor. I mean, he absolutely outclassed, outboxed, and thoroughly dominated former undisputed champion Josh Taylor. Now, in the lead up to the fight, Teofimo Lopez, had a couple of different interesting quotes. We'll utilize the term interesting. Some people would say crazy, some people say wild. I prefer to utilize the term interesting. Now, one of those interesting comments that he made was a comment where he talked about Top Rank and how they can, keep their black fighters and they can support their black fighters. And now, of course, that had a lot of people in an uproar, wondering what was Teofimo Lopez really meaning by that. Like, are you racist? Like, what do you have against black fighters? What's the issue? And it appears like after the fight, some of, his issue started to come to light, although, his anger and his ire is probably pointed at the wrong people and should be pointed at himself. Now, after the fight, we got a conversation with Teofimo Lopez in the media, and he hinted that he is going into retirement. And part of that, he stated, was because, he's tired of getting only like $1 million for a fight, but he's sitting there making ESPN, according to him, over $100 million over the course of his career that he's been fighting on Top Rank. Now, the interesting piece in this is that, he then sat down with, Sean Porter in the Porter Way podcast. Salute to Sean Porter, in the podcast. And, he talked a little bit more about how he feels like there are fighters, in the sport and at Top Rank, possibly, who are making way more than him, but haven't achieved as much as him. Now, the interesting part of that comment is where, with Top Rank, Bob Arum, he has the ESPN platform. He allows you to utilize that platform if need be. But, in this era of social media, a lot of stuff really is on the fighter to get out there and promote and do what they can to get themselves out there and get hype. You look at a Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia was able to utilize Instagram, social media, do different tips and tricks, and build his buzz to a level where he can make, multiple millions, fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. You got Gervonta Tank Davis who, you have to give some credit to Floyd Mayweather, where Tank aligned himself with a very smart business team on top of being a knockout artist and an excellent boxer. So when you paired those two together, that made Tank Davis rise to star power. So you've got, different fighters that, Teo may possibly, be pocket watching, that, they have different marketing strategies that have been more fruitful, than things have been for Teofimo Lopez. You look at a Shakur Stevenson who's on the come up, who's on the rise to stardom. You look at how he's advised by a Jay Prince, and his team, and a Big Baby advised by them. You look at how Bill Haney has strategically done a great job at navigating Devin Haney, where he fought with Matchroom and then he maneuvered over the Top Rank, and how great, Bill Haney has done with Devin Haney's career. So I think for Teofimo Lopez, a lot of this frustration, I feel like, is aimed in the wrong direction, and Teo probably should aim some of that frustration at himself. Now, I will say, for Teofimo Lopez, I believe that Teofimo Lopez, if he fights the way he did against Josh Taylor, he hands down would be absolutely difficult to beat in the 140-pound division. Like, I would definitely easily put him top dog, of the 140-pound division right now, and it'd be tough for anybody to knock him off. Now, the question, again, goes back to Teo, in that what can Teo do to get out there and market himself more and get more hype surrounding his bouts? Now, you look at, what happened with, say, for example, Bud Crawford. Look at Bud Crawford and how excellent of a fighter, arguably top pound for pound fighter. And even with Bud Crawford, a lot of people feel like Bud Crawford could be even more popular. And now I think for all fighters, especially for Teofimo Lopez, you really have to ask yourself, how far are you willing to go in this era of social media, in this era of the internet, where people are stuck on their phones 24/7? How far are you willing to go in order to market yourself? If Teofimo Lopez was Puerto Rican, I believe that his star power would be through the roof if he was Puerto Rican. But unfortunately, you're not of that ethnicity. I'm pretty sure, he would be booming at the box office if he was Puerto Rican. But, for Teofimo, he has to find his lane of where he can honestly, drum up some hype, get fans on his side, get fans either rooting for him or even against him. Everybody saw the Mayweather model, where Mayweather was an absolute magician at turning himself into the villain and having people tune in, pay hard-earned money just to see him possibly lose. So I think at a particular point, Teofimo Lopez has really got to look in the mirror and figure out, how do I go about marketing myself so that I can start to get these super, super lucrative paydays. I mean, Teofimo Lopez, hands down, is an excellent fighter. He's a great fighter that I believe, is worthy of eyeballs across the world. But he's going to really have to sit down with a strategic marketing team and see, how do I want to navigate, getting more publicity for myself out there in the sport. But right now, I think Teofimo Lopez, man, he kind of needs to, I don't want to see him pocket watching people and looking at other people's careers who are aligned with other people who are helping them. Teofimo Lopez definitely has to take a look in the mirror, man, and look at what can he do to further market himself. Who can he align himself with? Even on the women's side, you look at, an Amanda Serrano who, jumped in with a Jake Paul, right? Who was a master on social media, because gone are those days where everybody is only tuned into, cable network TV, right? Because at the end of the day, you could look at something and say that, it's on Bob Arum and ESPN. If we were in an era where all of your younger, 40 and under, supporters of boxing were always staring at, ESPN and FS1. But we're in such an era where I would venture to say a lot of people 40 and under don't sit there and stare at ESPN all day, every day, like it was probably 20 years ago. Most people, they're getting most of their updates from Twitter, IG, Facebook, all of that kind of stuff. So it's going to be on Teo, man, to get out there and really market himself a little bit more. But nevertheless, man, I do not believe Teofimo Lopez is retired. I believe it's simply just a frustration over money and him wanting to get paid for his talent. But of course, the hard part of boxing is you do have to get out there and promote and get yourself out there and engage yourself with fans and make them want to either see you win or make them want to see you lose. And that's going to be on Teo, man, to figure out, do you want to, market and be the villain, or do you want to market yourself as, an exquisite fighter, but get out there and do that and pull the fans in. But nevertheless, man, let me know what you think in the comments about Teofimo Lopez saying that he is going to retire. Do you believe him? What do you think Teo could do to really start getting these major paydays that he's watching, all these other fighters and all of his contemporaries get? What can he do, that's going to really make him start to get those massive paydays? But nevertheless, man, this is JD of BVTV News. Till next time, man, I'm out.